Deadpool and Wolverine is definitely a movie I will never forget, and an experience I will never forget. Straight away, I'm going to say that Deadpool 3 is hard R, or if you're in the UK, it's a 15. So, in this spoiler review, I'm going to be discussing things I wouldn't normally be discussing in other videos. So if you're under 15, or your parents don't want you near Deadpool, which is understandable, click off this video. I'm going to give you till the count of 3. 3.
Let's fucking go.
Deadpool is hard R, but there is no nudity, which means no Wolverine penis, sadly. But the violence is definitely a point of concern for parents. But unlike other reviewers on this platform, I personally think that this Deadpool film is the least gruesome out of the 3. And I think if you go into the film knowing the blood and gore is fake, then you're fine. This is the first Deadpool film I saw in cinemas, and it was awesome. I advise you to go see this in a cinema with an enthusiastic crowd. The UK normally don't cheer and clap for cameos, but my theatre, for the first time in UK history, was cheering and whooping, and some people were jumping up and down, mostly me. So let's discuss these cameos. This is what the Multiverse of Madness should have been, in that there are cameos that drive the plot forward and help our heroes to save the day. Channing Tatum as Gambit was my third favourite cameo in this movie, and it's long overdue. Not just for Tatum, but for the character of Gambit, and Tatum plays him perfectly. The French accent, the undercut humour, the constant card tricks in the background, and the smirks to himself. All of this makes Gambit, Gambit, and Tatum is perfect at doing all of those things. Elektra. Now, Elektra's cameo wasn't as important or impactful, apart from people saying, wow, it's a cameo from the Daredevil movie. Yes, it was epic, but the only standout moment she had was saying to Deadpool that she didn't mind not seeing Ben Affleck's Daredevil anymore, which was actually pretty funny. I also think with this cameo and Tatum's cameo, they were leaked a year ago, and I couldn't escape that because I was covering leaks for the movie to make YouTube videos. So the wow factor was taken away a little bit with those cameos. But that's my fault for spoiling myself. Now, a cameo I was not expecting at all was Wesley Snipes as Blade. What? How was this not spoiled? I mean, I'm so happy it wasn't. He's definitely my favourite cameo in this movie. He gets some awesome cinematic shots with modern day cameras, and he makes my favourite joke in the movie when he says, "There's only one Blade, and there only ever will be." I legit thought I was going to choke on my drink. And Blade says this in the film while Kevin Feige is saying on the press tour for this movie that they're working on a script for Blade and it's going to be rated R. So yes, Blade was the best cameo, and Gambit, Elektra and Blade aid Deadpool and Wolverine in getting closer to Cassandra Nova. And that fight scene is extremely stylish and unique, and it's so cool to see a comic-accurate costumed Logan fighting alongside a comic-accurate Gambit. That whole fight scene shows off each individual cameo character's power set. Try saying that fast 5 times. Now, there is a cameo I haven't mentioned, and that's X-23. Now, this would have been a huge surprise, like Blade, if they didn't reveal it in the final trailer. And I do think it's an utter shame they did, as I don't think they needed to reveal her. However, I'm so happy on her return, and she strengthens Logan's arc and adds to it. As she has that, she fits into the film perfectly. I actually think it was vital for her to appear, because she's the reason that this Logan becomes the peak Wolverine at the end of the movie. She's his therapy. She's the treatment. Plus, her getting a happy ending with her dad at the end is very sweet, and I think it's warranted, because not everything is doom and gloom, and you don't retcon Logan's death from 2017. Speaking of Logan's death in 2017, he just never catches a break, does he? The opening of this movie, and I mean this when I say this, is the best opening of an MCU movie ever. You think I'm lying? Deadpool digs up the bones of Wolverine from Logan 2017, and he's whining and weeping about how they never got the team up. The usual Deadpool stuff, the funny shtick. TVA agent shows up to try and arrest Deadpool. What does Deadpool do? Deadpool says, looks like we're getting that team up after all, buddy, and uses the bones of the body of Wolverine to kill these TVA agents.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
And so Deadpool starts dismantling every single bone of Wolverine and starts to cut up these TVA agents in the most creative way he can while dancing to Bye 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 by NSYNC, and him with the moves that NSYNC did 24 years ago, and just all of it is perfection. I can't do this scene justice. Go watch it in the cinema. Now, touching on the villain, Cassandra Nova, she is the weakest villain I think I have ever seen. Cassandra Nova is very forgettable. She acts as Mr. Paradox's henchman. The TVA prune people. Agent Paradox prunes people. The people get sent to Cassandra Nova. She either enslaves them or feeds them to the beast from Loki. And Deadpool makes a joke about that. Do you mean Goliath from Loki Season 1 Episode 5? Which I found quite funny because I do my MCU homework. But anyway, Cassandra Nova, she has no motive other than, I wanted to be the most powerful person in the void. I was left as a baby. So that's my trauma, and I never knew my brother, Charles Xavier. I mean, they do the comic accurate stuff where she goes, I tried to strangulate him in the womb or whatever, so I'm like, oh yeah, it's a comic book reference. But there's no substance to her. The only interesting thing about her is how she reads people's minds. It's a really weird, freaky concept. And obviously Deadpool makes a sex joke out of it. But that was cool, I liked that. But other than that, there is nothing to her. And then towards the end of the film, she becomes this power-hungry monster. If she didn't have any motive before, she doesn't have now. And, yeah, she turns on Agent Paradox and tries to, destroy the multiverse.
You're a cunt? Oh, my God.
I think Agent Paradox is the main villain here. I don't really count Cassandra, actually, as the main villain of the movie. I count Paradox as the main villain of the movie. And as the main villain of the movie, he's pretty bad. He's quite likable. He's one of those characters where you're like, he's good at being bad. He's quite comedic like Deadpool. He's not as serious as Wolverine. But I think having a comedic villain as well balances out the humor in the film. I have no problem with his motive because I like the show of Loki. I think Loki is one of the better Disney Plus shows, and I get where people are coming from. I get where he comes from. One of the main things with the villain, I want to see their point of view and kind of agree with it. And I agree with him saying, look, if a universe loses their anchor point, it's gonna die anyway. Why just say, oh, we'll wait till we get there? Why not just wipe out a universe quick and painless? I understand that, but, again, the moral effect of that. So that's where he becomes villainous. And yeah, I like him. He's a likable guy. I didn't know if you could maybe fill Owen Wilson's spot, but this guy does it really well. And he is very funny towards the end of the movie where he's saying, oh, my friends, Logan and Wade, they made a sacrifice, oh, God. And then Deadpool says, guess who just survived? And he's like, ah! So yes, Agent Paradox, I count him as the main villain, and yeah, he was pretty good. The arc for Wade, it's a good arc. I think people are misinterpreting it. It's not because Wade didn't get onto the Avengers that he dumps Vanessa. It's because Wade sees that as, like, the thing that makes him mean something, makes him worth something. And, like, without that, Deadpool can't go on. And then he feels like he has done a disservice to Vanessa, and like he's not good enough for her, blah, 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 blah. So I think people are going, oh, well, he didn't get on the Avengers, so he dumps Vanessa. No, I think it knocks his confidence, and I think it kind of makes him question, okay, well, what's Deadpool for now? What's Wade for? What can I offer Vanessa? I think he lets her go because he loves her, and he thinks that he can't live up to, being her boyfriend. Although, now that I say that, and I am defending that arc, yes, completely, 100%, it's not fleshed out a lot. And I would have loved it to have been fleshed out some more. And I think that's what we were kind of missing. I think No Way Home does it a bit better in that it's a Spider-Man movie first and foremost. It's a really good Spider-Man movie because it puts Spider-Man first. Listen, Wolverine's arc was great in this movie. I didn't think we needed to see any flashbacks because of the trauma we've already seen Wolverine be put through in 9 other movies. And Hugh Jackman's acting performance brings it through anyway. His acting tells us all that we need to know and why this Wolverine is so broken. Other cameos in the film, Happy Hogan, I was not expecting, like Blade. I was like, what? And when he's interviewing Deadpool to be on the Avengers, there's a load of Easter eggs in the background. There's Tony's Mark V suitcase, there's Cap's shield's prototype, I even think Thor's magic belt is there. Everything is there. It's just Easter Egg City. Other cameos I haven't discussed thus far. Chris Evans is Johnny Storm. This was kind of leaked, but it was still very awesome to see. He was sick, and I thought they were going to kill him straight away, but they didn't. And he stuck around for a bit longer, and when he was killed, man, I got a shock the way he was killed. But he was fantastic in this movie. Just to see him break away from the Cap role and be as vulgar as he is. Kind of crazy to see, and I'm kind of intrigued. The post-credit scene as well is fantastic. My theatre was dying. Speaking about Wolverine, he's like the voice of reason, because Deadpool is a bit of a prick in this movie, and Wolverine, he's like, dude, you just got him killed. What are you doing? What is wrong with you? Things like with DEADPOOL, which I thought was a funny addition. I thought he'd play a more important role in the film, but he didn't. I thought he was going to be like a quest guide, but he wasn't. But stuff with him was really funny, especially when he said he could break the fourth wall, and he just looked at the camera and said, the proposal. It was just a weird Ryan Reynolds movie that he brought up, because he heard Deadpool bring up another Ryan Reynolds movie, so that's what he thought breaking the fourth wall was. And then Deadpool getting him killed to get Dogpool and to get the golden pistols, when he says, you're going to regenerate, you're going to be okay. And DEADPOOL says, regeneration? And Deadpool's like, don't you have regeneration? And then he's like, no, I don't know what that is. So you're gonna live, and he's still getting shot. Deadpool's so calculating, it's actually unbelievable. And then Wolverine's like, you got him killed, you dumb. And his head just pops off. It just, boom. With the other Deadpool, the Deadpool called. I think this movie was already too crowded, and I think it was just for Easter eggs. I didn't need them there, basically. They served their purpose well. I didn't really care that they didn't play a more important role. They were there for the fight scene, and that fight scene with Wolverine pulling down the mask. I think I peed a little while I was watching that, and he's like, I'm ready to kill 100 yous, let's do it. And then, like a prayer in the background, and you see a comic-accurate Wolverine next to a Deadpool in a rated R movie, just absolutely going to town on these other Deadpools. And it was beautiful. It gave me, like, flashbacks to the Guardians 3 hallway scene, but just shot from, like, one angle, like a 2D video game. It was bloody, it was messy, it was glorious. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The only thing I wish wasn't as big of a problem, they CGI'd him jumping out with his iconic Wolverine pose. Now, yeah, Hugh Jackman can't jump out of a bus doing that pose, but I would have done maybe a different pose that you could make Hugh Jackman do in real life. I don't know, that's just a personal opinion there. And then the final bit where, Wolverine's redeemed, and they've built quite a friendship, and Deadpool, he tricks Wolverine, he sacrifices himself, and he says, you know what, I'm actually scared about dying. But Wolverine gets in at the last second, the thing's about to explode, and then the shirt rips off, and it's a slow-mo of like a prayer, and that for me was really emotional. That was the climax of the movie, obviously, but also the climax of the Fox universe and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and just everything that these two blokes have done with their roles. The characters get flashbacks and they might die or whatever, and it got me a little emotional. And it's a bromance story. It's kind of a love story. It's a love between two blokes, not like sexually or anything, but like a bro, a friendship love. And it felt like the movie had been completed. I was very satisfied coming out of Deadpool and Wolverine. And the ending, I thought they jumped to the MCU, but they didn't. They're staying in the Fox universe. And that Wolverine now stays in that universe as the anchor point. And yeah, I thought it was very nice. So guys, what did you think about Deadpool and Wolverine? I've given you my thoughts. Now it's time to hear yours. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.